Hi, I'm Jason Hill,
And I'm James Blackburn.
and this is No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
Now, our goal is to teach you some simple and easy ways so that you can get started with prepping in case of a natural disaster or a crisis situation.
Yep, and on this week's episode, we got a really special one for you, and that is
Social
what leads
to
social
breakdown.
Yeah, exactly. What leads to social breakdown?
Missed my cue.
Oh,
I'm
Hey.
hearing some odd words happening in here.
We don't know what we're doing, but that's all right.
what do you got for us there?
Do you ever? This is for another episode. I'm getting some stuff set up for later on. That way we're not having to try and buy a bunch of cans at one point.
Nice.
Hey, how's it going?
This is our co-host, Danny Lenski. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely. And on that note, I got to run because we have a guest later on today, and I want to make sure that she's all set up and ready to go.
Okay.
Okay,
See you.
we'll try not to eat all the soup while you're gone.
Well,
It looks really yummy, though.
quite the accomplishment.
Yes.
I would almost want to give you a prize if you did. So I'll be back.
Thanks, Danny.
Yeah, that would be awesome. In case you're unaware, Danny's middle name is Awesome.
Yeah.
She is awesome.
So today's episode, social breakdown.
Yes.
And what we want to discuss is some of the different things that can lead to a social breakdown. And one of the most prevalent would be a natural disaster.
Exactly.
And we look at, say, Hurricane Katrina, for example.
Yep.
Whereas the flooding comes in, the streets are blocked off, so you can't have trucks bringing in food and water and medical supplies.
And all that water that's floating around is not drinkable in the form that it is at that moment, at least.
Correct. So you have the possibility of disease as well. But what happens is when you're without food and water and supplies and you're starving, sometimes people turn to the dark side and they
Yes.
do what it takes to survive.
Yes, and some of them turn to the even darker side and they just take what they can get their hands on and not worry about surviving at all.
That's right. Looting,
Right.
crime, gangs, things like that are all possibilities once society kind of breaks down.
Yep. And when you're cut off from the world from a disaster like that, you got to make sure that you're safe as well.
Yeah.
Other things that could cause social breakdown are reports in the news. For instance, we all have seen court cases that haven't gone the way that maybe we would like, and that can definitely cause some problems out in society.
Absolutely. People take to the streets.
Yep.
Sometimes they get a little revved up, start breaking windows, stealing, looting.
Yep.
Obviously, we've all seen it before, so that's a big possibility.
Right. Another social breakdown reason could be mistreatment of the citizens by their government.
Yep. Or even with government cases, they pass some laws or they're not passing laws.
Yep.
And, the people in general just get upset. And then they take to the streets wanting to voice their opinion about it.
Yep.
Sometimes it gets out of hand.
It does, and we've all seen the news footage of cars being tipped over. It's never a good
Right.
thing. Now, what about the government itself? The citizens unhappy with the government, obviously. We were just kind of going over that a little bit, but there's other reasons than laws. I mean, there's taxes and variety of reasons why the government can do whatever they
Elections,
feel like.
wars. I mean, there's
Yep.
numerous things. Your taxes, your benefits, your retirement. There's so many different factors there.
There is, and another thing that comes to mind for social breakdown is disease.
Yep.
And what can you tell me more about that?
Well, we don't deal with it as much here in the U.S., but in other parts of the country where they don't have readily available medical supplies or treatment, disease kind of runs rampant. And when it does, you have sick people, you have the
Yep.
water sources that are polluted, and it's kind of a depressed attitude that people have. You're not feeling good. And so when that's the case and people are sick and their children are dying, they might get desperate, to
Very
get
true.
those supplies.
Right, which lack of food, lack of water, lack of medical, problems with the economy. There's a whole variety of things that could lead to social breakdown, and I guess we're probably going to go over a lot more of that in segment 2 as well.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about not only what happens with a social breakdown, but also ways that you can prepare for it so that you're not a victim if people are taken to the streets or
Right.
trying to get your stuff from you.
Yeah, I agree. It's something that's very important. We need to make sure that we take care of it, take care of ourselves and our families.
Absolutely. So when we come back from the break, we'll have a lot more information for you. Stick around. It's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, we have some really good stuff.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate the little disease talk there. I didn't really 100% sure.
Oh yeah, no. The disease is one of those things that just happen all over. Hi, I'm Jason Hill,
James Blackburn,
and welcome back to No Joke Survival.
preparations for the average family.
Now,
Hey,
Danny!
well, we have our guest in, and
Fantastic.
without further ado, Kristen, how about you head on in here? This is Kristen Kasserman.
Hi there.
Hey guys.
Is that right? So, I actually have to finish up our beginner's box, so I'm going to leave you to talk to. Wow, I feel short right now, so I'm going to just get on out
We'll
of
get you some
here.
heels.
Hey, bye, Danny.
Thanks. So, why don't you tell us your name, a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name's Kristen Kasserman. I'm the Clinical Director of Intensive Outpatient Services at Sage Neuroscience Center.
Take a deep breath.
And I'm on Cibola Search and Rescue and do mountain extraction, search and rescue, helping people out of the mountains safely.
Fantastic. Awesome
Very
that
cool.
you're doing so much for the community and giving back. So we really appreciate that. Now, we're talking about social breakdown, and there's a lot of things that go along with that, with the mindset of people once things start kind of going bad.
Absolutely.
And so we're going to touch on a couple different things. One would be the difference maybe between what would happen in a city or out in the country, because one's going to be more affected by the other.
And it's going to depend on what sort of disaster has happened. Is it one that's primarily affecting people in the city, or more like a wildfire or a flood that's more mountainous terrain affecting the rural areas?
Absolutely, I
that's a
hadn't
good point.
considered that. You know,
Yeah.
like with Hurricane Katrina, the flooding happened in the city, but you get a wildfire out in the country, and then those people might have to leave their homes. You know, so now one of the things that we've heard, especially once supplies are cut off, is how quickly they disappear off the shelves. You know, do you have a rough estimate of how that happens?
Word on the street is about 3 days and stuff is cleared out, be that medicine, food, water, any supplies you might need.
Yeah, I've seen these videos where, you know, the looting kicks in and people just rush to the stores.
Yep.
And at first they start buying stuff up, and then it gets to the point where they just running out of the store with stuff.
Yeah.
Empty shelves in a matter of days.
Mild-mannered neighbors stabbing each other, pushing each other away, taking things out of your hands. Yeah.
And it would be the same with like the gas pumps as well.
Yeah, everything would be gone really quickly. What about government intervention on a situation such as that? Would you know anything about that at all?
Well, like in some situations, the government, you know, the National Guard might be called in, or they might implement a curfew if there's gangs and looting and stuff like that.
And I'd imagine for an awful lot of Americans, that would be a difficult situation to be in, living in a city and being told you have to be in your home by dark. You're not allowed to do this and that. Culturally, that's just not the nature of America.
Yeah. Now, let's talk a little bit about the mindset, because, you know, we like to think that most people are good, but when it comes down to your basic needs of food and water, survival,
A lot of people, it's called the flexible mind, and it's important to have one in a survival situation because your will to survive needs to override any and everything else, which means I have no food, I have no water, I have no shelter. What am I going to do? Goal one, I'm going to survive. What's my first step? And people will go to amazing lengths to survive and do things you never thought possible.
Yeah, I think about it, and for a lot of people that have children, if my child was hungry and crying, you know, me who doesn't commit crime, like I would be out looking for food if I didn't have it. You know, I think it's just human nature to survive, and so when things get bad enough, the point is that laws kind of
Go out the window.
They go
a
by
lot
the
of times,
wayside.
morality, ethics, they go out the window. If it's your child who's hungry, scared, in need of water, and that person has it, a lot of times people are going to just take.
Well,
You
and
know?
then you have the other aspect of that's what happens with the good people who are in an extreme situation.
Yes.
When you take the bad people who are already bad, and now it's like a festival coming to town because they're even just going to get worse. That's where your gangs come in, they group together, and it's like, oh, there's no, the cops are too busy to respond to anything or whatever, and I can do whatever I want.
They take over managing resources.
Well, and in some cases, the disaster can be so large that the law may be only surviving themselves as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you got to take that into consideration too, that they are humans who also have to survive the same disaster that the rest of us are surviving. And, which leads us to them bringing in the military as a possibility and setting up the FEMA camps, right? In something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we all have heard good and bad things about.
Yeah, and we're not here to cast stones. Hopefully, resources do come in a natural disaster. We'd like to think that help is going to be available to us, but the idea, especially of this show, is to have our own preparations in place.
And there's a lot of peace of mind that comes with that. If I'm the one who has put together, here are my food resources, here are my firearms, here's my extra ammo or my reloading equipment, I know how to use these things and I'm comfortable using them. That's going to give me a greater peace of mind so that when faced with that situation, it's like a muscle memory. I go back into a comfort zone. I'm like, okay, goal one, I'm going to go make food. I have food. I can get my Dutch oven out. I don't need electricity. And there's already a plan in place.
Yeah.
So basically, in a social breakdown situation, peace of mind or frame of mind is a big part of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you give away to panic right away, I even have in a book for hiking in the mountains, it says, do not panic and run if you ever become lost. And it's sad that they have to write that in the book in the first place. But that's social, breakdown is even worse than being lost in the mountains. So,
It is.
Well, think
don't
about
panic and run.
Think about general anxiety, and your central nervous system takes over, and you're breathing up here. Big tight breaths. This is fight, flight, or freeze. And most people go into that under anxiety instead of deep, big, fat, pregnant belly breaths. And this is going to calm your central nervous system. I can go into rest and digest. So yeah, under panic, sit, take a couple deep breaths, think about, plan, and then move on with what you're going to do next.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's true because you tend to make bad decisions when you're stressed out and not thinking right. And it's, oh, here, let me run out and greet the gangs and offer them some cookies. They'll befriend me, Maybe not the best decision as they
I don't
take
know.
all your stuff.
I'm Southern. I could see bringing, I've got a casserole.
But yeah, the state of mind is so critical, to keeping yourself in a good place, being able to react well, make good decisions, and you have to have that, especially in a crisis, or things just go south.
Even building up to the crisis, a lot of our media is kind of got puppeteers behind it, and we may not see stuff coming as clearly, but watching for the signs and not living in a little state of denial about the reality of what's going on.
Hey, Danny's
about
here with our
What do you got for us?
Reality.
We have our beginner's box here.
beginner's box.
Yay! Well, actually, we have, as far as social breakdown, you want to try and have a variety of anything and everything you could almost think to have. And first thing I'm actually going to pull out, I heard something about peace of mind. This is just kind of a representation. You might want to just think of keeping those items like your favorite book, or especially if you have a child, that security blanket to help you stay in that right frame of mind.
That comfort item.
Exactly.
Call that.
Exactly.
And not just for kids, for adults too. A pack of cards. I'm a big fan of chewing gum, which is like a guilty little pleasure. Those little pieces.
Nice. We also have, actually,
This
my
is a good
personal.
book, too. It's
yes,
fables.
It is.
nice.
Certain fables. But we actually, in the case of the social breakdown, you might not have that opportunity where those of us with corrective lenses, whatnot, you might not be able to go down to the store and get more contacts. So, even if it's a cheap pair of glasses, whatnot, you really should have one, maybe a backup pair, just in case. So there's
Backups are good. That's
Exactly.
kind of
Great
the key
idea.
to it.
And on that same state of mind, you might not be able to get to your corner drugstore. So if you have backups of any kind of medication you might need, and backups to your backups in case you go through your medications rather quickly. And would you like to touch on this?
This is just a flash drive, and what I did is I took all my important documents, birth certificates, military documents, and anyway, scanned them into the computer and created a backup, because I've pretty much got my whole life on this, and if I have to run out the door with it in my pocket, it can be retrieved. So if there were a fire, you know, and I'm in my cabin and I don't have time to go through all those files, well, at least I have something.
Yep.
And
know.
you could do pictures on there too.
Your family albums, awesome point. I'm glad you brought that up. Your pictures, anything that's personal to you, and they hold so much information. There's no reason. They're very inexpensive. What else we got?
Well, this is kind of the paper side of important documents. You know, if you have your titles to your home and whatnot as well, just know where they are. Ooh, shiny.
Oh, pretty.
Barter items are a really nice idea to have. Now, you can trade, if you're into melting, it is illegal to melt currency, FYI. And if you want to use that for bartering, you can also think of things like produce, practical items, you know. If you've got-
Cigarettes.
Exactly, go the prison
Tobacco
way.
and alcohol.
Yep. Exactly. And then we have, I'm going to let you take it.
Just a ham radio communication. So if I got to run out the door, I have some emergency communications to contact friends or family members or seek help.
Exactly. And this is kind of 2-in-1 here. We have ammunition.
Yeah, and talking about social breakdown, sometimes you may have to defend yourself. So in this case, some people may choose to have a firearm. And if you do, you need to have the skills and the extra ammo so that you can protect yourself.
Come back after the break and we'll go into more detail about some of these things, and we're going to have another awesome contest in this episode.
Yes,
aren't we?
always have a fun contest.
Awesome.
This contest deals with knives and other stuff.
I'll trade you.
Welcome back to No Joke Survival.
I'm Jason Hill,
I'm James Blackburn,
and this is our guest, Kristen Kasserman. And today's show,
and don't forget about
I'm
Danny.
sorry.
I'm just saying. I'm Danny.
She's here too.
we got everybody. Today's show was about social breakdown and what could happen. One of the things I might have to do is improvise a weapon.
Yep.
And we have a quick video here that Danny did, and we'd like to show that to you first.
Yeah, check this out.
So we're out here today. I'm going to show you how to make a pretty basic spear, and you can use it for hunting, you can use it for hunting for fish, frogs, and, you know, if you're safe enough, maybe a walking stick. So what I've already done is I've harvested a green branch from a tree. What you'll then do is you'll try and find yourself a kind of branch to set this up against. Kind of put it right there. Use your foot to brace it on the bottom, and since I already have one ready, I have a hammer. So you'll take your blade, just kind of set it in place as close to the center as you can, which shouldn't be hard, and then you'll just start tapping. And it works best with a green branch because then you won't end up breaking it too easily. And see how easily that's working? And you'll just keep going. And this is for a 2-prong spear, should have mentioned. So now that it's about yay so far, it's pretty good. If you go too far, you'll actually weaken it. You can just have it break. And if it's a little stuck, always try and work back and forth. Don't ever just try and yank it. Safety first, always. To make a 2-prong, I actually have a stick here that I'm going to use to wedge actually between our 2 pieces. That way we can have a nice separation between the 2. I have here, conveniently, a shoelace. So, being safe, don't let this be in your way. Put it away. There's, 1,001 knots that you can use, but in something like this, something simple is nice, which if you want to use a square knot, which is right over left, then left over right, that'll be just fine. You're not really going to be skewering soft dirt. So now what we have to do is sharpen our skewer. So take your knife back out, and what you'll want to do is you want to make sure that it's tucked in kind of at your hip, and always point away from you, and just sweeping motions. And this especially is where it's nice having a green blade, or I'm sorry, excuse me, a green branch, because it'll go much smoother. You'll want to start towards the end, actually, and then you work your way back. And if you just start kind of working your way around, it'll eventually start to go into a point.
All right, welcome back.
That was pretty awesome, Danny.
It was very entertaining to me.
Good
as
job.
well.
Did you go out and spear anything afterwards, or?
I didn't. In theory, I could spear the air, but I didn't.
We'll have to do a show on that where she gets
Yeah.
a frog and then we grill it up and eat some frog legs.
Frog legs.
It is southern. It is pretty. It tastes like chicken, honestly. It really
Yeah.
does. But
It does.
a little slimier.
And
So-
we have sticks here.
Yeah,
don't we?
we have our contest we're going to do, and for our contest today, we're just going to make an improvised weapon. We'll sharpen these up into something and have fun with it.
We'll see who gets sharpest the fastest.
Okay.
So this is a single prong spear this time around.
Correct.
And it's a
Yes.
bit harder since these are already dead branches.
Yeah, these-
So
Yep.
challenge.
They're
All
dead.
All
right.
right. Well,
Strong.
Do you have your wet noodle?
I do.
Oh,
gentlemen, release your weapons.
Need sound effects with
I think
that.
that
Right.
as we'll stand back
a whip.
here.
So technically, I am going to make a two-prong spear
so
because it's
yours-
already 2 points. So
Oh, lucky duck. All right.
this will be awesome. So
all right.
under the hip, just like she said,
Ready?
or under my pit.
Yeah.
Set. Go.
Dun,
I prefer to do fast little strokes like this.
Dun,
And
dun,
Jason's
dun, dun.
going a little slower, but
Get some sound.
everybody has their own technique.
Can you guys hum some music? I feel like we should.
See?
So normally you wouldn't do this inside either, as you can see all these shavings that are coming around everywhere, making messes here.
This is a good kindling.
It is.
So if you had to start a fire, you don't waste anything in a survival situation. You use all of it. And
Like Danny said too, we're cutting away from ourselves.
trying to. We have the first aid kit on set, right?
We do, and we should all know where that is.
I'm pretty sure I got a splinter, so I may need medical attention later.
Little injury.
I think we have a
hydrogen
knife.
peroxide, a little bit.
We'll dig it out. Danny,
But it hurts so bad.
it might actually cause more damage than the original wound.
Exactly.
To try to
you want
treat
to
it.
educate yourself. I mean, don't ever do something that you're not comfortable with. Like earlier in the beginner's box, we had, we actually had a gun in the beginner's box. That doesn't mean to go out and buy one. Use what you're comfortable with. So, I guess as we're slowly reaching up to a point here, I guess that means that we're
At this point.
I'm
getting
almost
to the
there.
end of our episode. So if you want to know more about what we do, if you want to ask us any questions, feel free to visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/NoJokesSurvival. I'm in the danger zone here. You can also visit our website at www.nojokesurvival.com. There you can find links to YouTube to watch our videos in case you wanted to kind of look again, see if there was anything you missed. And you can always shoot us some questions. We'll have more detailed information on the website. So we hope that you come back and join us next week. Next week we're going to be talking about protecting your stuff in any kind of situation. And so, all right,
Thanks.
duel.
Mine's pretty good, man.
Oh, you fight me now.
Yours is two-pronged.
I know I got
We're
two-pronger.
talking safety, but it's not happening. Ah! Ah!
It's funny we're using sticks when I still have a knife in my hand.
And some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground. Oh, I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to go down into a valley, or observe the area. Some lime.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude?
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
This is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're gonna find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're gonna find people and be rescued.
Oh man, that hurts! And now for a blooper.
Blur in the background. I literally got hands in my pants. While I was talking, I could feel them crawling down my butt crack.
Hi, I'm Jason Hill,
And I'm James Blackburn.
and this is No Joke Survival.
Preparations for the average family.
Now, our goal is to teach you some simple and easy ways so you can get started with prepping in case of a natural disaster or a crisis situation.
And on this week's episode, we're going to go over protection.
That's right, protecting what you have. And hey, there's Danny.
Speaking of protection.
Whoa, don't shoot.
I didn't do it.
I know, not today. How are we doing today?
Co-host Danny Lansky, thanks for being here.
Yes, and we do have a guest again later on, so I'm going to go run work on the beginner's box for a minute, and then go ahead and bring him in a little bit later.
Fantastic.
So, see ya.
All right, thanks, Danny.
Put that away.
I believe so. Are you scared?
Do I have to answer that? Maybe just a little?
We're not scared.
So the basic concept of this show is protection and being able to
Yep.
protect what you have in case there's a crisis or stuff's going wrong and people are in the streets looting or rioting or whatever else.
Exactly.
And-
Which really brings us to why protection is important.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, in a crisis situation, some folks are going to go right for the looting. And doesn't mean they're going to loot big grocery store chains. They may loot your house.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, theft is rampant without there being a crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
But as soon as you get a situation where people are desperate now for food, water, supplies, it's going to be even more so.
Yep, desperation, you're absolutely right, will change the way people behave, unfortunately. And sometimes, can be a good thing to be focused on your survival as long as you're not in the process of hurting other people,
Yeah. But with that, in a severe crisis situation, even the good people, people that normally wouldn't do bad things, they may be out there trying to take care of their families, their kids, finding
Right.
food. They may not want to hurt you, but they may try to take what you have. And the goal is to be able to protect what you have so that you can survive longer.
Right, and then hopefully while you're protecting yourself and your stash of food and water and whatnot, the crisis situation will pass and life will hopefully get back to normal after that. It depends on the kind of situation that you're in, of course.
Yeah, and along with that, you have to be in the right state of mind to be able to protect yourself. How far are you willing to go if someone's breaking into your house to steal or rob from you? And these are things that you kind of got to think about ahead of time to know what type of weapons and or lack thereof you're going to protect yourself with.
Right, and to the weapon thing, real quick, one thing that people don't think about a lot is learning how to use it.
That's right.
It seems like a gun is just point and click, but there's so much more to it than that. So it's very important that folks take the time to not only put in the back of their mind these situations that could come up, but to also practice using these sort of things.
Sure. you know, if your form of protection is a baseball bat, go out to the range and swing that thing a few times and,
Yeah.
you know, just get used to how it feels to swing it.
Exactly.
If
And there's
it-
even safety classes you can take for firearms and stuff like
That's right.
that to learn how to, you know, use them properly without getting yourself injured or killed, possibly, yeah.
That's right.
And one thing you mentioned to me earlier was that those who are unprepared will look for those who are prepared.
Yeah, and so, you know, I've heard the term OPSEC, or, you know, or security, and basically it's not announcing on Facebook to everybody, hey, I've got a secret bunker and it's stockpiled with 2 years worth of food
Right.
and ammo, and, you know, because if something happens, where's everyone going to go?
They're going to head to
They're going to your place.
the secret bunker that they told everybody about. Yeah.
Exactly, and so you want to keep whatever you have quiet, you know, you don't want to announce it to everybody, because the people that are unprepared are going to look for the ones that are. It also includes family members.
Yeah.
You know, and so you may have enough food and water for you and your wife and kids, you know, but then the brother-in-law shows up with his wife and kids, and then the sister, and then mom and pa, and then before you know it, you don't have the supplies to last long enough.
Right. You had maybe supplies for 4 people, but now you have 10. And you're not going to obviously turn away your own family, you know?
Yeah, and so, you know, maybe you have a neighbor. Are you willing to turn away your neighbor in order to keep those supplies for you and your family?
Right, which actually comes into another thing too. If the neighbor and you team up, I mean, then you maybe have a stronger network. Hopefully, you know, you got those supplies that you can
Yeah,
do stuff
and we'll
with,
talk
so.
more about that when we come back from the break. We have a lot of great information for you, so stick around. It's going to be a lot of fun,
It is. This is one of the best episodes we're going to do ever.
as long as we can.
Hi, welcome back.
I'm Jason Hill,
And I'm James Blackburn.
and on this segment, we're talking about home protection. And
And we actually already have our guest, Roy. Roy, when you
Great.
come on out, this is Roy Gideon. He's
Hello.
here to help teach us about
doing, sir?
protection. So
Nice to meet you.
I need to finish up with the beginner's box per usual. I need another few minutes, so I'm gonna get out of your way, and I'll be listening in the other rooms.
all right, thank you,
She'll
Danny.
be supervising us. Make sure we do it right.
Well, welcome to No Joke Survival.
you for
Can you
having me.
tell us your name and a little bit about yourself?
I'm Roy Gideon, co-owner of Deliberate Defense. We currently train concealed handgun for New Mexico and Florida. We do most NRA pistol training. We have metallic cartridge reloading. We're working on some protective rifle courses coming up.
Nice.
So, and I am a rifle marksmanship instructor for 500 yard to build 500 yard skills.
Fantastic.
Very cool, yeah.
And, you know, not everyone is into weapons and firearms, but if you are, it's a good thing to practice and get those skills.
It's actually practice is really where it's at, because it's simply having familiarity with your firearm. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're not comfortable with it, you won't perform as well when you really want to.
Well, and that's the thing. When you're in a stressful situation, your mind doesn't work quite the same way, so that it's that muscle memory that's going to allow you to be able to react when someone's coming
Yes.
at you or attacking or something.
We state that when you are in a stressful situation, you go from finite motor skills to gross motor skills. So it's really important to have the muscle memory built.
Fantastic.
So it's automatic. The movements are
Yes.
already there
Yes.
because you've done it so many times.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. So what are some popular weapons for home defense?
Well, probably the most popular home defense firearms are handguns, and of course there'll be shotguns and rifles. The shotguns and rifles, they're in a home, they're a little bit more cumbersome, and they require some forethought and practice. Actually, having walked through the home, and because you take if you don't mind me using your rifle
yeah.
rack, which I just love.
Go right
but
ahead.
Take a look at this shotgun here. It's designed for hunting. So going around corners, through rooms and things like this, it's kind of unwieldy in a lot of respects, and you can expose yourself more. Handguns, you can tend to stand back. They're short. You can bring them in tight, stick them out. You have a rifle. Love rifles. But again, there's some over-penetration potential there too, right? And they're a little longer. And it requires practice and some forethought. Then you take this last shotgun, which is much shorter. It helps to protect you because you can be closer to cover or concealment, or you can come around a corner quicker and easier, so you're not as exposed for as long.
Yeah, that would be me with the long shotgun. I'd go to come out of the room and hit it against the door frame. It'd knock me in the head.
It can
and
happen.
Hit the floor.
You should walk the house with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I might try that this afternoon just for fun because I hadn't even thought about that,
Yeah.
especially if it's the middle of the night. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole different scenario then.
Well, you know, I heard you mention ball bats. I'm going to jump on that real quick. But, you know, I'm in a small home, and if my hallway from the bedrooms, it would be tough to swing.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's something, again, I'm not saying don't. I'm saying take a look at it and walk the house with it.
Yeah.
is really
and also with the handguns and the shotgun thing, obviously anytime you're using any kind of a weapon or a firearm, you're responsible for that. And
Yes,
so
very much.
with a firearm, a handgun, that round may go through walls
Yes.
and potentially hurt somebody somewhere else.
Yes.
Whereas depending on the type of shot with the shotgun, it's more likely that it will not penetrate walls depending on what you use. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. One thing I would like to talk about is this over-penetration and having a plan for a safe room, because you need to know where the people you love are. So there can be a retreat option, and then you can go into a defensive mode if you need to. But you take a pistol, and it can penetrate, I think they say it'll penetrate 3 sheetrock walls at 10 feet apart. So that's a lot. You know, a rifle's the same
easily.
way, depending on the type of rifle, and it can go through 4 and more. Now the shotgun, depending on that, will give it up much quicker. It also spreads in a broader pattern. So again, what's your background, right? Making sure it's not somebody that you care about or something you care about.
Exactly.
You
don't
know,
want
so the
any
shotgun
accidents.
has they're wonderful, but they have another added feature of a spread pattern.
Well, and one thing about all the different types of firearms we're talking about right now is you need ammo. And now,
Yes.
how much ammo is good to have on hand?
Boy, that's a very personal question. It is.
Yeah.
But,
And
you
I
know,
agree. I think you're right.
It is. So, you know, ammo can be used in a situation like you're talking about. It can be very much a barter item. So, but it's very firearm specific, right? So, is it barter? You know, for personal protection, what if you had an extended issue and you had 200 rounds or 2,000 rounds of 22? It's only 4 boxes.
Yeah.
But shotgun takes a lot more room, right? So, is it a couple hundred rounds or 100 rounds? Rifle, is that 1,000? Or in your handguns, 1,000 rounds? Personally, I'm the 1,000 round guy. But
Yeah, some people say too much is not enough.
But again, it's a barter item. It
Yeah,
is.
absolutely.
It's tradable. You know, you can get services or things you need.
Yeah,
So,
that's very true. I
yeah.
hadn't even thought about that. It's not just for protection, but for bartering also.
Yeah.
Now, there's obviously going to be some people that aren't comfortable with a gun. What are some other options that someone could use in their home to protect themselves?
All right. Well, we can go down quite a long list, but there's the ball bat. There's OC spray, mace, pepper spray.
OC, can you elaborate on that?
It's
Pepper spray,
it's
right?
pepper spray is what it
Okay.
is. Yeah, I can't remember but it's pepper spray. It's what burns you when you peel that green chili and rub your eye.
Gotcha.
You know, same. Now
Capsaicin.
on the spray, what I'd like to mention is that you can get it in many different sizes. You can get it from all the way from pocket to a can that holds almost. You can pull a trigger on it and use it. The bigger the particular OC spray canister, typically the farther you are able to use it. The drawback to OC spray is that you can get it on yourself, so you need to understand that you're going to be dealing with possibly being sprayed too. And it doesn't work on 3% of the population. And so that 3%, you're going to get a flinch. It doesn't necessarily work right away either. So there's going to be a flinch reaction. Is that your time to retreat, to change what you're doing, or to become assertive?
And
You know.
sometimes fleeing is definitely the best option. I mean, you want to protect your family and your home, but you also have to look at the situation. If there's
Very much.
20 people coming in your front door and you don't have the means to protect yourself, that pepper spray or something to distract them as
Yes.
you are all running out the back door may be the best
It
option.
buys you a moment of time that may help you escape.
And I think that's kind of what we're really trying to get here is it's not so much what you use for protection, but to think about it ahead of time
Yes.
so that when it happens, you're not just stuck.
No.
You know, preparedness is just the key to making good decisions.
Right. Well, what we do is one of the things when we talk about our training, especially concealed carry, and then we have a hands-on, I call it concealed carry part 2, and we teach these things, but we never teach to be aggressive up front. And, you know, but look at scenarios, and the more aware you are, the better off you are. You're ahead of the game by being aware.
Yeah, and
Gotcha.
being aware definitely is half of it, you know, of knowing what's going on around you, as well as what could potentially happen later.
If you can
So-
see it, you may be able to avoid it.
Yeah, very true. Speaking of seeing it, here is
Welcome.
Danny.
Right on.
Da-da, with our beginner's box.
Beginner's box!
We need to come up with a
We need
beginner's
to
box
do that.
dance.
I'll let you all do the dance, and I'll just kind of sound noisemakers. So today we have the beginner's box for protection, and one thing that as I was actually just about to head in, I heard us talking about pepper spray. So I think that we're going to go ahead and start off with that one. And I mean, there's a number of different kinds of pepper spray, and I'm going to hand this one to you to let you
Okay,
allude
so
to.
one thing I want to ask you, do you carry this all the time in your hand?
Not in my hand, it's on my keychain.
You should.
That's the problem.
Secondly, if you're carrying them, shake them. Okay, they need to be mixed. They'll separate. Okay, I carry mine in my hand all the time.
Well, and it's something something I was always taught as well is that it's good to test them. You know, I mean, obviously you got to be outside. You know, not necessarily in the wind, but just to make sure that they still work. And so,
Once you discharge it, I'd replace it,
Really?
and I would replace them yearly. They're cheap,
Okay. Yep.
and it's
Yeah.
cheap insurance.
They're
Very
fairly
true.
inexpensive. If they're made with pepper spray, can you put that like on a pasta or something? Can you spray that?
if you really like the
Yeah,
spice,
I don't know that
imagine
they're
you
toxic,
could.
but I don't know if they're really good for consumption.
So
That's all
here,
attached there.
That's why I'm trying to pull off. This one here is just a general kind of all-around survival knife. We have attached, we have the flint and steel in case, you know, the power goes out, which we touched in on an earlier episode. We have the sharpener already attached, and I believe that this one is your baby, so I'm going to let you.
Yeah,
play
this
with it.
this one of my favorites, a Gerber LMF2, and it also has a striker. So if you have to break glass or whatever, you can pound it with this end. You can hammer with it. It's very durable. It's a full tang knife, and so you know if you're in close combat, like you said, maybe you're in a hallway or something, you might be able to be hiding around a door. If you know someone's coming in your house, a knife may be a better option as opposed to a long shotgun that as you're swinging it,
They can get their hands
yeah,
on
they
it.
just grab onto
Point
it,
it
you
away,
know, or
yeah.
something
And,
like that.
and to touch on a knife as well, something that I was taught in martial arts is, you know, an extended and a straight joint is a broken joint. And so if you're doing anything, you know, you never want to try and, because then people can easily stomp on something and then it'll just bend the other way. And you want to make sure, again, just like rifles, you want to make sure that you know what you're doing.
Yes.
And so if you were...
I'd like to say that a knife, actually, if you're going to use it in a self-defense, there is training to be had with it too. It's important. It's not just
sure.
to pick it up. There's a lot of do's and don'ts with that. So again, it's more training.
Education.
Education.
So, you know, if you were one of those kids who played with some slingshots, this isn't exactly small enough for my arm. But I'm going to hand this to you. I
you
wasn't
go.
a kid with a slingshot. I had rubber bands. I had rubber band wars when I was, that's how it works.
There you go. I love slingshots.
I didn't ever use
They're-
these guys.
Well, one of the nice things about slingshots is they're silent.
Yes.
So they can make a great weapon when you don't want people to know what you have.
Yep.
Exactly.
True.
Now, when we come back from the break, we're going to have us a fun contest. Roy, Gideon, we want to thank you again
Thank
for
you
being
for
on our
having
show
me.
and giving us
Appreciate
some
it.
great
Thanks a lot.
information. And for more information, we'll be able to have your website up on our website.
Great. DeliberateDefense.com.
All right.
Thank you.
This is cool. Hi, welcome back. I'm Jason Hill.
I'm James Blackburn.
And I'm Danny Linsky.
And today's episode, we're talking about protection and being able to protect the stuff that you have in case something goes wrong. And we had left off with the slingshot, which
Yep.
I like those because it's a great silent option.
Yes.
And, you know, I guess in the old Bible story, it worked for David and Goliath,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
The swinging slingshot.
Goliath
But
went down.
Yeah. But there's also some other options that I wanted to touch on briefly, and one would be security cameras, which we have one set up right over here. It just allows you to see what's going on outside of your home. They have them with night vision, and so you know, it's a good way to know what's going on outside, basically.
Yeah.
Gives you a little bit of time to prepare if someone's trying to come in.
Well, and there's a
Exactly.
number of like cheap ways to set up like sound alarms if you want to set up a tripwire or whatnot.
Sure.
If you're, you know, if you're out far enough away, probably if you did it in your front yard, the mailman would hate you for it. You know, if you had it every day. But that way you can really think proactively versus reactionary as far as keeping yourself protected. So.
Very good.
Yeah, exactly.
And another great option is roof.
Yes.
Yes. Guard dogs.
Not just
Guard
a
dogs.
Not just
Guard
me.
dogs.
Do you like my lead in there? Was I making
Roof. I got
dog
the reference there. So.
Yes.
Yes, a guard dog is very protective of the family that they've been raised around. In particular, you know, I've seen German shepherds that won't even allow a kid to wrestle with another kid because he thinks the kid's being hurt. So yeah, guard dogs are awesome.
And I think the key with those, their hearing is way better than ours.
And there's
you
no-
have to sleep sometime, and so having that little early warning can be a good thing to protect yourself and your home. So lots of different ways. People can explore what works for them. We do have a contest today. I'm excited about this one.
This one looks like a dangerous,
I
the
love
most
the
dangerous
contests. They're my
contest that we've
favorite
done
ever.
yet.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so let me explain real quick. What we have here is shooting battleship. Now these are shooting targets to where if you're actually shooting with a bullet, it's a little paint target. We're going to use these little stickums. And Danny, you're going to take the red side.
My favorite color.
James, you're going to take the green.
Yes, I
And
like green.
we're going to go until you've fired all of your darts. Okay?
All right.
And so what you want to do is try to get it in the red, and whoever has the most of any one ship, well, with the exception of the single one. Although if you get it right on there,
Maybe that's like
we'll
an
count
extra 10
that.
points, yeah.
Yeah.
You count that. And so you're going to just try to get as many as you can, and then we'll decide who the winner
All
is.
right.
after we're done.
Well, I will admit, I'm not good with these kind of guns.
All
If
right.
you give me water guns, then that's a whole different story.
Excellent.
All right.
So,
I better stand back here behind you.
shoot. Oh, okay.
So that can
Is
shoot.
this stacking the deck in my favor? I'd like to think so. All right.
now remember, take your aggressions out on the targets.
Never point anything
On
at
your mark.
someone.
Get set. Go.
Oh, I didn't even hit the
no,
target.
Stop. Is that even legal? Can we do a reshoot? Oh. I think if your stuff lands on my side, then that was totally on there.
Oh, this is great.
I almost wondered if we needed to get a little bit of something to give him a little extra stick. But
Well, Danny's in the
I'm
lead.
too far away.
yeah. I think if we get points just for letting him stick on
I was
there.
gonna say maybe you gotta lick them a little bit. Just wet your finger and hit the tip of them.
All right.
Maybe
See,
it'll stick
I'm sure
better.
if we had some 8-year-old, they're thinking, oh
They
my
probably
God,
would've
these people do not know
Sank
how to
our
play
battleships
this game.
already.
But sunk my own battleship because
Oh!
success. Oh, I shot my own.
Danny's doing so much better than
I
you,
know.
James.
I'm not doing so well, am I?
Shit.
I really
Step
thought
back for
that
you.
you'd
Make it feel
gotten
I
one.
would have sank at least one battleship by now, but
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Keep going.
Ready
Keep
for
going. We
it?
gotta get a winner.
I think we almost need theme music, some kind of
Yeah.
really action-packed something.
Well, not one of you has actually gotten in the red yet. We're in the green.
oh,
I'm waiting for just one solid hit on the destroyer, the PT boat, anything.
So,
all right. This is the
gotta
best
be-
contest ever.
Oh!
I sank the
Keep going.
battleship.
Oh, she's
Oh,
cheating.
come on. That's it.
Oh
never point a gun at someone that you would take fire.
You cheated.
You
But
guys.
I'm out. I surrender. I don't have a white flag.
no! All right. Well, this has been a great episode. You guys can keep shooting at each other.
Can we now?
For more information, you can go to facebook.com/NoJokeSurvival. while you're there, you can interact with us. You can ask us questions. We will try to answer them as best as possible. You can also
I'm sure we'll be alive.
check our
Still.
our website, www.nojokesurvival.com, where we have links
I like
to
that.
videos.
Great.
Let's just aim for Jason.
And you can check out our Twitter account as well. So we'll upload a lot more information, detailed information. So please check us out, interact with us. We'd love to hear your questions and comments and try to make this show as best as possible. So you guys, this was a bad idea. I'm never giving you weapons again.
Well, when something is that squishy, I mean, you really get so excited.
All
So I
right.
think you sank more water than me.
I did. You can sink water. You don't know
You
how
got
many
it.
creatures are in the water that can capsize a boat.
James is the winner, though. He actually sank
Oh,
one.
I did utterly cheat.
Here you
on
go.
that one.
You want one? I think these guys.
See if you.
Bullseye! All right, thanks, folks.
Thanks for joining us.
And some of these other ones right here, we have things falling on the ground. Oh, I think I may have wet myself a little bit.
If you're up on a mountain, you may want to go down into a valley, you know, or observe the area. Some lime.
Oh my God, what is that? What is that, dude?
Probably a Sasquatch. They're all over the place.
This is important. You don't want to wipe your backside with something that might be poisonous.
What you want to do is literally just sit down and listen.
I kind of blew my way through there pretty badly. There was a lot of outtakes. It's back, dude! It's back! Ah! Where is it? There it goes!
That's awesome. You never know what you're gonna find in the wild. I love it. Or some sort of area where you're gonna find people and be rescued.
Oh man, that hurts! And now for a blooper.
I literally got ants in my pants. While I was talking, I could feel them crawling down my butt crack.